Shot of the Lower Mainland on this Monday morning. Good morning, Vancouver. Good morning, Canada. This is Breakfast Television. Dina Pugliese. I'm Sid Xero. This is how we do. Back to school jitters are normal every fall, but as families prepare for the beginning of the 2021-22 school year, these run-of-the-mill worries are colliding with fairly fresh uncertainties about the ongoing pandemic, leaving kids and parents way more anxious than usual.
Okay, we've got an expert here, and he's going to get us through it. Mental toughness expert and former Navy SEAL Eric Rittmeyer joins us this morning with tips on way to guide your children through this time of uncertainty. Look at that smile. Good morning, Eric. How goes it?
Good morning. It was actually, I was a former Marine, not a SEAL. We all bleed green, but I was a Marine, so thank you either way.
Thank you for that correction. Let's get started with this. There are so many changes. How honest should parents be with their kids during a pandemic, as if back-to-school jitters aren't bad enough?
Yeah, we all have the jitters, Dina. You said it earlier on, right? I think what's critically important here is to recognize that our kids are insane emotional detectives. They can see right through us. They know exactly what we're thinking. We have to be honest with them, but we also have to talk on their level of mental capacity. We're going to answer questions differently for our 5-year-old than our 15-year-old. We don't have to try to explain quantum physics to our kids if they just ask basic questions. Let them ask the questions, answer, then let them ask the follow-ups.
Eric, you mentioned talking to them at their level. I find that interesting in that, with social media and whatnot, kids are getting way more information at this age, whether it's correct or incorrect. They have to filter that, but they're young than we got at our age. So if a child comes up to you and says, "Mommy, what does this mean?" and hands you a phone and sees something that's very concerning or is, quite frankly, just flat out scaring them, as a parent, how would you approach that?
Yeah, the most important thing here, Sid, is letting our kids know that 100% of their feelings are okay. It's how they respond to those feelings that's important. And what we have to let them and help them to understand is that just because we feel something doesn't make it real. So when we have a feeling, let's try to find facts that will either confirm or deny this feeling, as opposed to the opposite. With social media, it's so easy to do, right? We become more about social media than social interaction. They see these things, they're afraid, adults see it, and the problem is we don't even really have training for this as adults. So we're trying to teach our kids to do something that we don't have training on. It's very difficult to do.
It's true, but be aware that they do pick up on a lot, and maybe if you think you're digesting it, fine, they're compartmentalizing it in a whole other way. So you talk about feelings vocabulary as well as emotional vocabulary. So what does that look like, and what is that?
Yeah, first off, Dina, you have me at a low using my word compartmentalization. That is a mental toughness word. I'm already in love with you. Yeah, so our emotional vocabulary, this is a feelings vocabulary. So it's when they have these feelings, they're able to label them. They can properly identify them. If we can identify how we feel, we're better able to articulate what we're experiencing, what we're going through. Instead of getting angry, instead of getting upset, which is what we see as a world right now, we have no way to express how we feel. So what do? We revert to anger. We get mad. We say things. We do things, as opposed to processing information logically and formulating a response.
How do you talk to your kids about calming down and just kind of trusting whatever system is in front of them in whatever school district they're in, when you yourself don't trust anything you see right now? How do you compartmentalize that when trying to put your kids in a good mental space?
Yeah, so this all goes back to recognizing that all the feelings are okay, Sid, and letting them know if they're upset, if they're anxious, if they're nervous, whatever that feeling is absolutely okay. Let's give them tips for how to use these emotions in a positive way. As adults, again, it's difficult because we go through a school system that teaches us to memorize and regurgitate. We're not taught how to deal with adversity. We don't know how to handle opposing points of view. So as parents, what we have to do is kind of train ourselves on ways to teach our kids. But ultimately, what it boils down to, as difficult as this whole situation is, our kids are learning lifelong skills that they'll use down the road to deal with these things when we hit them, when they're adults in the workforce.
And also, Eric, every child is different. So let's say you have 2, 3, you're blessed with 4 kids. How honest should you be? Do you sit them all down and have the same chat? Or do you look at each child and their needs, and then how honest do you get with them, depending on, you know how they're going to absorb that information? How honest are you with them?
That's a great point, Dina. There was actually a pediatrician and a researcher by the name of Dr. Thomas Boyce who came up with this concept of the dandelion versus the orchid. And basically what he found was about 80% of kids are dandelions. They're resilient. They handle exterior pressures pretty well. But about 20% of kids are orchids, which means they're more sensitive. They respond to these exterior factors in a different way. Identify whether your child's an orchid or a dandelion. Address their questions based on their level of mental capacity. And no, I wouldn't say it's okay to handle every single child regardless of their age, the same way. Recognize how they handle these situations and then talk to them on their level. Again, critically important. Let them ask the questions, answer it, let them ask the follow-ups. We don't have to go way out in left field if they're not asking for it.
Great tips.
His name is Eric Rittmeyer, former U.S. Marine, mental toughness expert. If you want to get a hold of him, the website is mentaltoughnessspeaker.com. Again, mentaltoughnessspeaker.com. Eric, let's not be a stranger. Let's do this again. Have a great day, sir.
Awesome.
Take care.
I'd love to come back. Thank you guys for having me. Have a great day.
Take care.
Thank you so much. Okay, come